today we will be discussing in detail about viscosity. I have given you an overview of viscosity. Every fluid basically will have the viscosity, like a fluid is having liquid and gas. Gases will have lower value of viscosity compared to the liquid, because in liquid molecules are closely packed compared to the gaseous phase. In gaseous phase, as molecules are too much distance apart, so a lot of momentum, molecular momentum will be existing in them. But in liquids, as they are closely packed, because of that, more and more cohesive forces will be dominating in the liquids compared to the gases. So as I gave you some general definition of viscosity, so viscosity is the inherent property of a fluid to offer internal resistance to shearing of its layer, or you can say it is a resistance offered by the fluid to its shearing. If you apply any shear stress on this, right, fluid will continuously deform. So it will be applying, it will be resisting some of those stresses with its property that is called viscosity. So general definition, again, I am giving you here. Viscosity is defined as the property of a fluid which offers resistance to the movement of one layer of fluid over another adjacent layer of fluids. So for example, as I said that this is a solid boundary, right, and over that fluid flow is taking place. So that is an open flow process. So fluid will have a number of layers. Those layers will be forming due to the motion of fluid molecules, right, towards a particular path. So if we consider well-defined path like laminar flow, where fluid laminas are parallel to each other, so we can consider any two laminas, right? One is at a distance of a small y from the solid surface. This is a solid surface, so the velocity of solid surface is zero. So solid surface is not moving, only fluid is moving. So in that case, we are considering two layers. One layer at a distance of a small y from the solid surface, and another layer adjacent to that at a very small distance of dy, right? Where velocity is u plus du. So this du is very small change in velocity. So upper layer is moving slightly faster than the lower layer, and because of that, right, what is happening? Uh, the layers are shearing to each other. So in between this distance, that is dy, one shear stress used to develop. Why the shear stress is developing? Because there is a change in velocity, right, between this small elemental distance of dy. All right, because of the development of this gradient of du by dy, a shear strength developed between two layers. So likewise, every layer will be offering a shear stress to its adjacent layer. So if you are going to calculate the overall shear stress which would be acting on the entire fluid domain, will be the algebraic summation of all these small shear stresses between the layers. So if you look at just at the edge of the solid boundary where velocity is zero, this is a velocity profile which basically we are getting the parabolic. All right, so at the edge, velocity is zero, and this condition is known as no slip condition. So no slip condition says that the fluid layer adjacent to the solid surface attains the velocity equal to the velocity of the solid surface. So when that condition exists, we can say that no slip condition has been achieved. So most of the fluid layers which are flowing very closer to the solid surface will have a velocity negligibly very small, so that can be approximated as zero velocity. So that condition is known as no slip condition. So as we move away from the solid surface, velocity will keep on increasing. A point will reach where your velocity will be called as free stream velocity. There will be no effect of any kind of internal resistance of the fluid. So here basically a shear strain is developing, that is du upon dy. So as I said that all the layers will be offering some shear stresses on the adjacent lower layer. Similarly, lower layer will be imposing some sort of shear stress on the adjacent top layer. So it is basically shear stress is directly proportional to the rate of shear strain. So we can write like shear stress is usually represented by the tau. Tau is directly proportional to the rate of shear stress du upon dy. So when you remove the proportionality constant, right, proportionality, symbol, you will get a proportionally constant, right? This is the constant value and du upon dy, and this constant is known as proportionality coefficient constant, or you can say coefficient of absolute viscosity. Sometimes we do say that is a coefficient of dynamic viscosity. So don't get confused between these terminology. Sometimes we say this as a dynamic viscosity. Sometimes we do say this as absolute viscosity. There is no difference, right? When fluid is at rest, right? Let's suppose fluid is filled in a container, all right, and you're just simply rotating that fluid, all right, by some external force, right? In that case, whatever viscosity is there, that is called static viscosity, or you can say absolute viscosity. If fluid is moving on a solid surface with some velocity, predetermined velocity, in that case, the same viscosity will be termed as dynamic viscosity, right? There's no difference at all between the terms. Both are having same meanings. So as I said, that is mu. We used to say this as mu. Mu is called as constant of proportionality, also known as coefficient of dynamic viscosity. So it basically depends. It doesn't depend on basically on slope. Usually we say it is a constant. So when you are finding out the no units of the viscosity, you can write in this way: mu is equal to tau upon du upon dy, where du upon dy is basically rate of strain, and strain will not have any kind of units that we know. So whatever the dimension or unit of the stress itself is the dimension and unit of the viscosity. So we can find out the viscosity units, right, using the formula that is given by the Newton's law of viscosity. So when you are going to find out the unit, you can write in this way: shear stress divided by the rate of shear strain, which is nothing but change in velocity divided by the change of distance. So now you write MLT, right? Mass, length, and time form, right? For this formula, so shear stress will be represented as force divided by area, and change in velocity usually we write like length divided by time into 1 of y length. Length is change in length. If you substitute now the value, right, in terms of L and T, you can write force into time divided by length square, right? So force usually we write in Newton, right? Newton divided by meter square into S. So Newton second per meter square. So SI unit of viscosity is known as Newton second per meter square. So viscosity usually will be given in terms of Newton second per square meter. Sometimes we do present this viscosity in terms of poise, right? One poise is equal to 1/10 of the Newton second per meter square. Just note down this in your notebook. So one poise is equal to 1 divided by 10 Newton second Newton second per meter square. So we used to say poise. So poise is POI SE. So one poise is equal to approximately 1 divided by 10. So 1 divided by 10 times of Newton second per meter square. So just keep in mind this. So this poise is the unit in terms of CGI system, that is called English system. If you're writing in terms of pound, centimeter, right, or dyne force, if you consider in terms of dyne, you can convert same unit in terms of poise. If you are considering force in terms of Newton, then the term will come like Newton second per meter square. So viscosity unit is Newton second per meter square, or also we can say poise. So one poise is equal to 1/10 of the Newton second per meter square. Second important properties of fluid is called kinematic viscosity. So I said there is a one branch of fluid mechanics which deals with the motion of fluids, while we are not considering the force causing that motion or pressure force causing that motion. That branch is called kinematics. So we define kinematic viscosity in terms of dynamic viscosity usually. So kinematic viscosity is the ratio of dynamic viscosity divided by the density of fluid. So the ratio of mu divided by rho is known as kinematic viscosity. Its unit is meter square per second, right? So this is the SI unit of kinematic viscosity, is known as meter square per second. If you do write the same unit in terms of centimeter square per second, then that will be equal to 1 stock. Another unit of kinematic viscosity is stocks. Usually we say stocks. So 1 stocks is equal to centimeter square per second. If you're writing in meter square per second, this is the SI unit of kinematic viscosity. If you're writing in centimeter square per second, that becomes equal to 1 stokes. So another unit of kinematic viscosity is called stokes. Right. So this is don't get confused between absolute viscosity and kinematic viscosity. Kinematic viscosity is the ratio of absolute viscosity divided by the density of fluid. Next topic is variation of viscosity with the temperature. All right. So how do viscosity of fluids changes with temperature? As I said that we compare fluids, basically liquids and gases, based on the molecular structure. So in liquids, molecules are closely packed. Why are they too much close? Because of they are having internal molecular attraction force, that is called cohesive force. So cohesive forces dominates in the case of liquids, but in the case of gases, as molecules are very large distance apart, so there is a lot of molecular momentum, right? So their molecular momentum actually dominates over the cohesive forces. The cohesive forces are negligibly small in the case of gases, while in liquid cohesive forces are more. A lot of experimentations have shown that if we increase the temperature, right, in that case, this what we say cohesive forces decreases. When that is going to basically decrease, in that case, your viscosity will basically decrease. So in the case of liquids, when we increase the temperature, viscosity keeps on decreasing. While in the case of gases, right, if we increase the temperature, what will happen? The molecular momentum will rise up. All of a sudden, there will frequent, molecular collision, and molecular momentum will increase. When that is going to increase, right, viscosity of gases will keep on increasing. So it is like vice versa. In the case of liquids, if we are increasing the temperature, viscosity is decreasing, while in the case of gases, viscosity increasing. So main reason is I said in the case of liquids, right, cohesive forces dominates, while we increasing the temperature, cohesive forces decreases. Right. When the case of molecular momentum increases, because of that, there will be increase in viscosity. So this is the experimental data, right? Experiment was done on two standard fluids. One standard fluid is water, another is air. These are the standard fluids, right? Air is known for standard fluid for gases, and water is known as the standard fluid for liquid. So when we increases the temperature, initial, you look at the value of initial viscosity of water, that is around 180 pies, right? At 0 degree, if we keep on increasing the temperature, you see how curve is behaving. Its temperature is keep on decreasing. That's the main reason is cohesive forces decreases, right? Force decreases as we increases the temperature. While in the gases, right, it keeps on increasing linearly, right? And as temperature goes higher and higher, viscosity goes on higher and higher due to increase in molecular momentum of the gases. So that's the basic difference between the viscosity changes for liquids and gases. Now come to the types of fluids. Already we have defined the types of fluids based on the Newton's law of viscosity. We expressed them as like Newtonian fluids and non-Newtonian fluids, right? There we also define the pseudo-elastic fluids, right, which is having already higher stresses value than the yield stress, but still they follow the linear relationship between stress and means we can say stress and rate of shear strength. So when do we say that when somebody asks you what is the Newtonian fluid? Newtonian fluid is something which obeys the Newton's law of viscosity, or you can say its behavior when we are applying this stress, rate of shear strength is varying linearly starting from zero. That kind of fluid is known as Newtonian fluids, right? Those are basically ideal fluids. And when you are talking about non-Newtonian fluids, in that case, behavior will not be linear anymore. Sometimes it will be positive slope, sometimes it will be negative slope. So most of the real, fluids that do occurs in nature, all are basically non-Newtonian, fluids. If you talk about, Bingham fluid, right, which is having highly stress, they may have some initial stresses, right, which is much higher than the yield stress. So curve will not be starting from zero stress. It will be starting from somewhere, some value, definite value of stress, and after that it will follow the linear relationship between stress and rate of shear deformation. Apart from that, right, you can classify in terms of viscosity. Some fluids may not have viscosity, right? Some fluids will have viscosity. So you can say like viscous fluid or non-viscous fluid, right? Similarly, some fluid will be highly compressible. Some fluid may not be able to compress easily, so compressibility is almost negligible. So we can say incompressible fluid and compressible fluid. So these are some parameters. Based on that, we can further classify the type of fluids. So there are namely two kind of fluids. One is called ideal fluid. Ideal fluid is something which is incompressible and is having no viscosity, right? Is known as an ideal fluid. So in other way, we can say it is an incompressible inviscid fluid, right? Is known as ideal fluid. In reality, none of the fluid is ideal fluid, but for the sake of practical purposes, we always consider water as ideal fluid for practical purposes. But in reality, water is not ideal fluid. So ideal fluid is only an imaginary fluid, as all the fluid which exist in nature have some viscosity. So real fluid or fluid which possesses viscosity is known as real fluid. All the fluids in actual practice are real fluids. So this is one classification of types of fluids. Second classification you can do on the behavior of stress with the rate of shear strength. So Newtonian fluid and non-Newtonian fluid. Two kind of further more classification you can do based on their behavior while they are under stress. Third category is called ideal plastic fluid, right? A fluid in which shear stress is more than the yield value and shear stress is proportional to the rate of shear strain, right? Is known as ideal plastic fluid. If we draw all the behavior, right, put together on shear stress versus velocity gradient or rate of shear strain, you will be getting behavior something like this. So the curve which is starting from originating from zero and going linearly, this is known as Newtonian fluid. All right, and this positive slope as well as sometime it will be downside also. These are all non-Newtonian fluids, and this is known as ideal plastic fluid, right, which is already having some definite value of shear stress, and after that it is keep on increasing, right, along with the rate of shear strain. And if any fluid which is showing this vertically up behavior, right, like this is known as ideal solid, right, ideal solid. And for any fluid which is showing just shear stress is zero, but velocity gradients keep on increasing, which is known as ideal fluid. Because while ideal fluid there is no viscosity, when that is not there, we cannot find out the shear stress, because shear stress formula says that it is directly proportional to the, or you can say shear stress is equal to mu du upon dy, as mu is not there, so shear stress is zero, right? But you may have different velocity gradients, but still stress is zero, which is known as ideal fluid, and this is ideal solid. So like that, you can classify the types of fluids. Example, right? Example number two, because example number one we have covered in the previous class. So take this problem. So calculate the density, right, specific weight and weight of 1 liter of petrol of specific gravity 0.7. So if we look at the data, right, what all things are given? 1 liter, that is called volume. Total volume of petrol is given, and specific gravity is given for the petrol, that is 0.7. And we need to solve for density, right? We need to calculate specific weight also. So two parameters are unknown, and we have provided with two parameters. All right. So from the specific gravity, you can easily find out the density of petrol. So first parameter, non-parameter, easily can be calculated, right? So density will be around, you can say 0.7 times of density of water. So it is coming around 700 kilogram per meter cube. So first answer is over. You know, specific weight is equal to density times of acceleration due to gravity. And acceleration due to gravity value is fixed, that you know 9.81, and density you already calculated, right? So specific weight can also be calculated with, so you can say specific weight is equal to density, which we already calculated, 700 multiply by 9.81. That's all. So specific weight can also be calculated. Clear not? So 700 into 9.81, what is the answer?
6,867 Newton per meter cube, sir.
Newton, yes, that's the answer for your specific weight. Once that is known, we can easily find out now weight, right? Weight. So specific weight is equal to weight divided by volume. Volume is given 10 to the power minus 3. So weight is equal to specific weight, whatever value you got, multiply by the volume 10 to the power minus 3. You just multiply the value which you got recently with 10 to the power minus 3. That will be the weight of the petrol. I hope you might have got the answer. So this is the answer for weight. This is coming around 6.867 Newton. All right, up to here, any doubt? Shall we proceed to the next problem?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so take this problem. So example number 3, if the velocity distribution over a plate is given by some velocity equation, this is given like 2 by 3 y minus y square, in which small u is the velocity in meter per second at a distance of small y meter above the plate. Determine the shear stress at a distance of 0 and 0.15 meter. Take dynamic viscosity of fluid as 8.63 poises. So, can you tell me what is the value of viscosity in terms of Newton second per meter square?
0.863.
0.863, because 1 poise is 1 by 10, so divide this as 1 by 10, you can get the value in terms of Newton second per meter square. So you know the viscosity, you know the distances, right? Distances from the solid surface, from the plate, y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0.15 meter. Now you just look at the formula of shear stress, right, from Newton's law of viscosity, which says that tau is equal to mu du upon dy. That means you have to differentiate this equation with respect to y, right? Just you differentiate this. If you are going to differentiate that, you will get du upon dy is equal to 2 by 3 minus 2 times of y, right? That you will be getting. So this is called velocity gradient, or you can say rate of shear strength du upon dy. That is 2 by 3 minus 2y. Now only y is the parameter, right? That is going to vary, and for that values are given 0 and 0.15. So once you find the value of tau 1, that is at y is equal to 0, then second value you get at y is equal to 0.15. So tau 1 and tau 2 you need to calculate. That's what is our motto for solving this numerical problem. So how to start with? First you find out the du upon dy. So du upon dy is 2 by 3 minus 2 times of y. Now you find out the du by dy value at y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0.15. All right. So the moment you put the value of y here, 0 you get 2 by 3 in first case. If you put y is equal to 0.15, you can get the value 0.367. So now you know the value of rate of shear strain, right, at y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0.15. So you can calculate now shear stress value at corresponding distances. As mu already given 0.863. So you substitute in the formula tau 0 is equal to mu, just substitute the value of mu, and du upon dy you already calculated here. Just multiply, you will get the first answer. Similarly, at y is equal to 0.15, you can get the second answer. So like that, you can solve for finding out the stresses at a distance of 0 and 0.15 from the solid surface. So in this problem, any doubt?
No, sir.
So I hope you can solve this kind of problem, right? Take this problem now. This is slightly different. Example number 4, calculate the dynamic viscosity. Now here dynamic viscosity is unknown to us of an oil which is used for lubrication between a square plate of size 0.8 cross 0.8 meter square. So this is a plate and this is actually sliding over this inclined surface, and here is the liquid which is filled for lubrication. All right, at 30-degree shown in figure, the weight of the square plate is 300 Newton. Weight always acts perpendicularly downward, so 300 Newton is given, and it slides down inclined plane with a uniform velocity. So velocity of plate is also given 0.3 meter per second, and thickness of oil film, this thickness is given as 1.5 meter. So thickness means it is a distance from solid surface, right? Y is given as 1.5 meter. Sorry, not meter, mm. Now, we need to know what is the force acting on the surface, right? Basically on surface. So I need the component of force basically in the direction of motion. I want to know force in this direction. So I can resolve this weight right in the direction of motion. So if this angle is 30, I can say this angle is 90, then this angle will be 60. Clear not? So we can say W cos 60 is the sliding force, right? Which is basically making your plate to slide right over this inclined surface. So force required for sliding this plate is nothing but W cos 60. That is also known as shearing force, right? On what area it is acting? It is acting on this surface area. Surface area is given zero point 0.8 into zero point 0.8, right? You can find out the surface area of the plate. So force divided by the area, shear force divided by the surface area will give you the shear stress. So shear stress we can calculate. And du, what is the change in velocity? This surface is not moving, the inclined surface is not moving, only plate is moving. So du is nothing but whatever u value is given, that is du, and dy change in distance. Distance is fixed, which is given 1.5 meters. So dy is nothing but 1.5 mm. So you can convert into meter. 1.5 into 10 to the minus 3 meter. So dy is given 1.5 10 to the minus 3 meter, and du is given as 0.3 meter per second. So you can find out the du by dy by dividing zero point 0.3 divided by 1.5, right? So you can find out the du by dy, and tau already you calculated, because force required to slide the surface you calculated from one of the component of weight in the direction of motion, that is w cos 60 is the shearing force, divided by the area. Zero point 0.8 into zero point 0.8 will give you the shear stress. So shear stress is known to you, du by dy is also you know. So dynamic viscosity can easily be calculated as shear stress divided by du upon dy. That's all. So like that you can solve this. So steps, what is given? Area is given 0 0.8 into 0 0.8, 0.64 meter square. Angle is given 30 degree. Weight of plate is given. Velocity is given. Thickness of oil is given. That is nothing but dy 1.5 10 to the minus 3 meter. Let dynamic viscosity is mu. So component of weight along the plane of motion is W cos 60. You can find it out. So this is called shearing force. So shearing force divided by this area will give the shear stress, and du upon dy will give the slope. So you can find out. So shear stress is given by this. So you can use the formula tau is equal to mu du upon dy, where du is 0.3 meter per second, dy is 1.5. Substitute, you can find out the dynamic viscosity, which is coming around 1.17 Newton second per meter square. Multiply this by 10, you can get the poise. So it is coming around 11.7 times of poise. Right, so 11.7 poise is the correct answer for this problem. So this sort of problem may come, angle may different. Sometimes they will give you dynamic viscosity and you need to calculate the shear stress, or they may ask you to calculate the dynamic viscosity. So any one of the parameter will be unknown to you, and you have to solve in a similar way. So this is your third problem in the series. I will give you the last problem. All right, take this problem. So this is basically two plates are there, between that fluid is moving. So the space between two square plate is filled with each oil. Each side of plate is 60 centimeter. So side of plate is given as 60 centimeter. The thickness of the oil film is given 12.5 mm. The upper plate, which is moving at 2.5 meter per second, requires a force of 98.1 Newton to maintain the speed. Determine the dynamic viscosity of oil, and second, the kinematic viscosity of oil if the specific gravity of oil is given 0.95. All right, so now two things you have to calculate. You need to find out first dynamic viscosity, then you will be calculating the kinematic viscosity. So problem is very easy. You look at the schematic diagram which has been drawn here. So these are the two plates, right? Our lower plate is not moving, it's just stationary, right? Upper plate is moving, which requires a force which is given 98.1 Newton, and the velocity at which it is moving is 2.5 meter per second, and the thickness of oil film right between these two plates is given as 12.5 mm, which is nothing but dy. As we say, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So dy is 12.5 mm, and you look at each side of plate is given as 60 centimeter. It is a square plate, so area will be 60 cross 60, right? So area is 60 into 60 centimeter square. That is called surface area. So shear stress will be can be calculated like force divided by the surface area. So 98.1 divided by 60 cross 60. You can find out the shear stress. And what is du? Du is nothing but 2.5 meter per second, because lower plate is not moving, upper plate is moving with 2.5 meter per second. So du is given as 2.5 meter per second, and dy is 12.5 mm. So du upon dy, you can easily find it out. Shear stress is known to you. So dynamic viscosity, you can find out from the integral law of viscosity, tau is equal to mu du upon dy. So mu can be calculated with. So you look at the steps. So each side of square plate 60 centimeter. So area is 0.36 meter square. Thickness of oil film is 12.5 mm, which can be written in meter. And velocity of our plate is given 2.5 meter per second. So change in velocity is 2.5 meter per second. So force required is already given 98.1 Newton. So shear stress can be calculated like force divided by area. So area we know, force is also known to us. So we can find out the stress. So, and du upon dy can also be taken out from here. So 2.5 divided by this value is du upon dy. So we can use the tau is equal to mu du upon dy. We can find out the dynamic viscosity out of this, which is coming around 1.3635 Newton second per meter square. So first part of the problem is over. Second part, kinematic viscosity, we need to find out. Kinematic viscosity is dynamic viscosity divided by density, and we have been provided by the specific gravity. So using the formula of specific gravity, first we will find out the density, and using the density and using this dynamic viscosity, we can find out the kinematic viscosity. So specific gravity of oil is given 0.95, right? So density is specific gravity into density of standard fluid, that is water, 1000. So this is the density. So kinematic viscosity is the ratio of dynamic viscosity divided by density. So we can find out the kinematic viscosity. So second part of this problem is also over. So this sort of problems will be coming. I have taken all the types of problem which can be framed from this topic. So today we have covered total four problems. One is from basic definitions, and three problems from the viscosity concept. So now I'm open for the discussion. If you are having any doubt,